Hello, beautiful souls. Steph here, your host for the Essence of You podcast. I wanted to share a story about something that happened to me while I was in Europe. I was in Cannes, in France, and this is about 3 weeks in, 3.5 weeks in to my journey. And it's late at night. I'm in deep meditation, almost sleep. Y'all know how that goes when you kind of leave your body. And it felt like I was asleep. I just knew it wasn't a dream, and. And I was in this operating room, so to speak, with these beings, and they were not people. And there was a tiny bit of fear that came up, and then I remembered, hey, operate out of love and it'll be groovy. And if it's a bad energy, it'll go away. And so it stayed, and then I felt the love, and they were slitting my ankles open. And I just thought it was strange. I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they told me that they literally said, don't worry, we're just implanting your upgrades in both ankles on the outsides. And they said, don't worry, when you wake up, you won't be able to see these scars. No one will be able to see the scars. This is going to upgrade your DNA, basically. And then I popped from that state to a beautiful meadow with this amazing pond, and the stars were out. The moon was large. It was bioluminescence. I get in the water, and there's this wizard that comes up in the water. It's about waist deep from behind me. And he was the essence of love. Being in his presence was encapsulating. And he was just truth. And he gave me a big hug, and I was just swarmed with his energy. And then he put his hand on my belly, and it made this shock wave throughout my system, and it kind of jolted me a little. And then he put it on my heart, and then it did the same thing. He put his hand on my throat, and as he was placing his hand on these parts of my body, I felt the love. And then it was like almost like those palpitations that happen, like when the ambulance uses them to bring someone back. Then he did it on my throat, and then on my forehead. And then he turned me around and looked at me and said, give those implants and what I just did a month. You need to decondition so it can recalibrate your whole system and just rest. And that is when it was kind of hard to just do anything. Well, after that happened, I I do quotes, out of that state and shook myself out of the dream it took me into. And my mind, my ego was like, what was that? And I tuned into my body, and I could feel reprogramming. I could feel it just moving up my legs from my ankles throughout my entire body. And I thought in that moment, get your journal and write this down, because that was not a dream. And I knew it. And then the next day, I kept getting these confirmations. I'm in a place that does not speak. No one there spoke English. Hardly any. And then I come across this man the next evening speaking perfect English, to his fans on his phone. He asked me a couple questions, and he is on a journey himself, a prophet. And the things he said, it brought me to tears because I knew it wasn't coincidence. Nothing is. It's always a divine interaction. It confirmed what had happened, the night prior, that I was already working. And over time, the shackles just kept falling off. The shadows kept getting met with love. Everything that I had yet to face just came to the surface with utmost joy and ease and grace. And that made for perfect alchemy. Even sharing it just brings me back to that time, and it was truly amazing. That trip wouldn't have been possible had I not fully surrendered to the nudges. I mean, all of them. Pack your stuff up. Don't sign a lease. Buy a one-way ticket. All of them. I'm just so grateful that I got that opportunity to go and journey to Europe for 3.5 months. So much unfolded and became clear. A level of self-love I've never experienced. And that's part of being human, right? We're constantly growing, constantly evolving. So this moment now is going to be completely different than even next week, tomorrow. And so reflecting back on that time brings me so much gratitude for it. If it's one reminder today for you, it's to listen to your nudges, no matter how small, because the more you are not in tune with them, the louder they get. The more you stuff them down, your body can begin to become sick. Injuries, imbalances, you name it. I've been there. Hormones, thyroid, injuries. Literally, this February, I was in Costa Rica and got in an ATV accident. Flipped the ATV because I needed to be still. And when it happened, I was so grateful for it. Yeah, I was in pain. However, with the tears of the injury site were also tears of gratitude and joy. And just utmost appreciation for those that were around me at the time. So if you can take anything from this, know that everything happens in due time. We all have a unique blueprint. So trust yourself. Do your best every day. And when you know better, do better. Try not to compare, because your walk is completely different than anyone else's. There's so many factors in play for each and every one of us, and we all came here to learn lessons. So your lessons are different than everyone else's. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this, and my wish is just to empower and inspire every one of you that tunes in some way I can, even if it's, giving you some nuggets to go off of and something that's familiar in someone else's walk. I'm here. I see you. I love you. Much love.